We're going to call the East Greenbush Central School District Board of Education meeting to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I just want to thank Green Meadow for having us, inviting us, showing us hospitality today, and we look forward to the programming with all of the students and staff. To begin, we're going to start with the student council representation with Cole Hardy and Natalie Crisanda.
Good evening, everyone. We hope you all had a nice week so far. Last week for Student Council, we wrapped up homecoming, which had a fantastic attendance and school spirit. We discussed possible improvements that could be made for next year and how we can find more ways to include more students.
We have also discussed more events that will be coming up, like volunteer work for the Ronald McDonald House and adopting a highway in the East Greenbush area. We have also started planning for Mr. Columbia to take stage on November 22nd.
Finally, in today's meeting, we painted Columbia pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice night.
Thank you. And moving on to the Green Meadow Elementary School. It's just the art program presentation.
Mr. Garrett.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Well, good evening. Special welcome to our Board of Education members and Mr. Simons and his central office administrative team. It's nice to have so many members of the community here joining us this evening. And I also see some former students here and also some current staff members. So thank you very much. We're excited to host the very first board meeting on the road for the 24-25 school year. Our students here interact with a lot of different staff members, teachers, bus drivers, teaching assistants, custodians, office personnel. They also interact with a lot of our special area teachers. And a special area teacher is very special. And something special about a special area teacher. How many times can I say the word special in this presentation? They interact literally with every single student that walks in the door from pre-K all the way up through 5th grade. And one of our teachers that we're especially proud of here is Mrs. Carly Powers. And I had the pleasure of bringing Carly onto our team. How long ago now, Carly? Eighth year. I do share her one day a week with Belltop School. Only one day, so don't get any ideas, Mr. Newman. But she literally works with every student in the school, and she just does a phenomenal job. And she's going to share a little bit about her program with you this evening. And I also want to give a shout out to her husband, who is literally an Emmy Award-winning cinematographer, and he helped out with some of the video. So please thank Mr. Powers for us. So without any further ado, I am going to turn it over to Carly Powers.
Wonderful. Thank you. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Let me put this mic here. I like to use my hands. All right. So first, I want to start with some thank yous. I want to thank the Board of Education for allowing me to speak here tonight. I want to thank Principal Garup, my wonderful principal, for asking me to present. I also want to give a shout out to the community and the parents for sharing their children with me every day. Of course, I wouldn't be the teacher I am today without my wonderful Green Meadow colleagues and the art department here at East Greenbush. Before I go into my formal remarks, I just want to say I have the best job in the world. How honored am I to be especially here in East Greenbush School District? My mom, who is also an artist, always said, "You are so good with kids. You have to be a teacher. You got to." And I tried to fight it a little bit. I went to art school, and I'm still a working artist, but I would always come back to teaching. Always, whether it was a ski instructor, teaching music, helping out. And I guess she's right. I was born to do it and I love it. So thank you, Mom. All right, let's get into it. I need your help a little bit. Okay, show of hands. If this is correct, raise your hand. If you've ever heard or said, "I can't even draw a stick figure," raise your hand. If you've said that or heard that. "I can't draw a straight line even with a ruler." Right? I know I have, and I'm the art teacher. I know I've said that. Now, what do you think would happen to a child's confidence, your confidence, if when you walked into the art room, your classroom, it was filled with "I cans"? Yeah, you can't draw, but not yet. I'm here to show you. You can draw. You know what? Straight lines are boring anyways. Curves and wavy lines are much more exciting. Creating art in a positive environment helps build students' confidence in themselves, something that extends far beyond the art room. Peter, did you turn it off on me? Can you click to the next slide, please, Peter? So here is my mission. This is something I created when I started teaching and has evolved over my 13 years as a teacher. Creating means more than just using art tools and mark making. What I strive to do when I'm planning is to instill a love for creating and harnessing the power of critical thinking. Take what they are learning about in the classrooms and applying it in a project-based setting. Foster resilience by problem solving our beautiful oops and working through challenges like fine motor skills. And yes, I do teach the elements of art and teach painting and drawing as well. But these are always in the forefront when I'm preparing my lessons. My focus here at Green Meadow. First is foster a love of creating. In the digital age of AI, which in part I find inspiring and an exciting tool, but I'm also seeing that craftsmanship and the appreciation for the handmade is declining. I want to ensure that my lessons are not only teaching them about how innovations can be beneficial, but it cannot take away from the magic and the skill of doing something by hand. It's wonderful to see how the children still light up when they're painting or drawing or building with clay. And they feel much prouder and attached to something that they created by hand versus something that maybe was just done for them. I'm trying to get them excited for the future without losing the love of hard work. Next is engaging all students. Art is a wonderful equalizer, I feel, where there's no right or wrong answer or way to do something. Art can be enjoyed by everyone, regardless of their ability or status. Furthermore, art is a helpful place for students who do receive OT or PT services to work on their goals outside of the classroom or their service area. Learning a positive coping skill. Art such as painting or drawing or clay building or weaving can become a lifelong passion and help them through maybe troubling times as they grow. And becoming a healthy coping mechanism that is individualized, expressing their emotions in their own and healthy way. Next is to promote growth and progress over perfection. Throughout this presentation and my lessons, I use language that rewards the hard work and effort over the final product, not something you would really think about when art, right? You have this finished piece that needs to be hung up. I like to use phrases like, if I wanted them to all look like mine, I would have made photocopies. I want to see your mark. How are you making it different? Don't forget to add the yet. I can't draw a heart yet. I think you can problem solve that one. Use that big, beautiful brain of yours. Try it. That's why they invented erasers. Other common phrases I did borrow from the late great Bob Ross. No mistakes in art, just happy accidents, right? And of course, my addition, mistakes, no, that was just your practice. You can erase it, cover it. Maybe think of it as an opportunity to turn it into something new. Next, we have resilience and taking chances. I like to do shout outs like superstar tables and holdups where I use that to highlight students that are not just following directions, but are showing determination, showing struggle, but they persevered, rewarding the work while showing the children I see that they're not giving up and having that confidence to be creative. Lastly is being an effective and kind communicator. You'll see a little bit later in the presentation an example of an art discussion and critique that highlights how talking about art and your process can help teach effective communication and create a framework for talking to peers in a kind and respectful way. Key things that I say before a discussion is make sure to use full sentences. I love that you like it, but why? Tell me more. Adding to another one's comment. Agreeing or disagreeing, but with a kind addition and evidence. Another one thing about art is that there's no right way to interpret it. So it really lends itself very well to students to feel comfortable to share their feelings and emotions. So I know you all know this because you guys created it, the portrait of a graduate. During the opening remarks given by Superintendent Simons at the beginning of the year, I couldn't help but see so many connections between the board's portrait of a graduate and what is done in the art room here by the art department and truly by all my colleagues at Green Meadow. One example in my classroom is don't forget to add the yet. This sign lovingly hangs right next to the clock because I know sometimes the kids are looking at it. And just really reminding them of that growth mindset logic. Building a student that is confident to keep learning and trying. In addition, in our character ed committee, we have begun incorporating these words into a school-wide curriculum and rewards. We just met this morning. The next few slides showcase how the art department here is addressing these 5 words and how I plan to continue using the portrait of a graduate framework. So lesson highlight. This is my Frida Kahlo Proud Cacti. This is a project I do every year with my first graders. We celebrate being unique and share what we are proud of as individuals. We next do a discussion about the types of environment that cacti grow and different things that we can do to adapt to challenges. For example, if we are bullied or see bullying on the playground, be strong like the cactus. How can you make a change? Stand up for yourself. Changes in our life and environment happen, and we can be strong and adapt like the cactus, continue to grow. Lastly, we learn about the work and the life of artist Frida Kahlo and the tragedy and disabilities that did not stop her. How she persevered, and even though she could not get out of bed even, she taught herself how to paint and draw to advocate for herself and her country. I believe that the more exposure students have to people and cultures unlike themselves strengthens their ability to be accepting and more empathetic. And art and art history lends itself to that so well. The I Can pencils. This is a project that's new this year that I did with my second graders after learning about the portrait of the graduate. I was thinking, okay, how can I make sure that the students that come into the art room are confident learners? Well, let's start by sharing what they can do, what they're proud of, right? We started by reading a wonderful book, I Cannot Draw a Horse by Charisse Marcel Harper, where the message is, how can an artist persevere when asked to do something challenging, like drawing a horse? Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to draw a horse. That's not what those papers are for. Don't worry. But what goes on in the book is you see that the artist uses what they already know, a nothing shape, a simple shape. And when they keep adding details, adding more, they can problem solve it by starting with things that they know and keep moving forward. We also brainstorm what you can do if you feel those yucky, I can't do it. Well, you can ask for help. You can try it in a new way. Use the eraser first, and maybe find a reference. And of course, maybe try it in a new way. The next lesson highlight, I wanted to talk about how discussions and critiques in the art room can really help students be better and effective communicator. I did a discussion with my 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders at the start of this year, where I asked them, what is art? We built up to what do artists even do? And why is art even important? And it was so wonderful to see their responses. And they were so engaged. Even when they disagreed, it was a wonderful example of how an open-ended question like what art is can be so inspiring. They really saw that it is okay that we have different opinions. We can both think that art is awful, and someone else can think it was the best thing that they ever saw. So it taught them that even though we don't share opinions, we can be still respectful. It was great to also see kids that may be really reluctant to raise their hand and share. They had the confidence. They were like, wow, my voice matters. It's okay that I'm not right. Also, they wrote out some of their responses. I had them do a little bit of writing, and I made a mural. You guys are welcome to walk down and see if you'd like. It's hanging in the main hallway. Some of their responses are awesome. You're also going to hear some 5th graders read theirs in a short video at the end. Okay. Now, I wouldn't be a true art teacher if I didn't have a little art activity for you. This is a lesson that I do with my 4th and 5th grade students on stressful days like state testing days. They really look forward to this if they have art on those days. And it's a great way to get them to release any anxieties that maybe they're holding on to and get lost in art making in a no pressure environment, even if it's just for a little bit. Now, before I show you what we're gonna do, I was introduced to this art technique by a fellow art teacher in the department that learned about this during a professional development a few years ago. It was inspiring, and I really hope to do a little bit with you tonight. So if you could find your pencils that I put on your spot and a paper, perfect. And now remember, don't forget to add your yes. There's no mistakes in art. You can do this. And if I could do it with all of you, I would love to too. But let's just start with these guys up here. I want you to start by closing your eyes. Think of something that has been troubling you, a problem that keeps aching your mind. If you feel like you are able to, or if you want to, you may write it on the piece of paper, but you don't have to. Just hold it in your mind. You can open your eyes now. If you wrote anything down, you may flip it over or you can keep it on that side. Now, holding that problem in your mind, we're going to take a deep breath and I'm going to count to 5. When I say go, you are going to start filling that paper with just curved, waving lines. And we're just going to take a few seconds. When I get to 5, we're going to stop and you're going to put your pencils down. And while you're making these lines, just breathe, thinking of that problem, deep breaths. We ready? You can do this. Okay, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pencils down. That wasn't too hard, right? Now what we're gonna do is look at these intersections. Where they crisscross. I want you to look at those as decisions you can make about that problem, that concern. Different paths you can take. Different roads that can lead you in a different way. Now we're going to take those intersections, and instead of them being like these or hard intersections, we're going to now transform them into curves, transitioning them. And again, just another minute. And how you're going to do this is if you look up here, you can take this, and instead of it being like 2 B's or 4 B's, you can curve it. And we can fill it in. We can even curve it here and fill it in. You can curve it here and fill it in. And while you're doing this, get lost in it a little. Maybe that problem will start to fade away. In doing this, what you're doing is 2 things. I'm allowing you to get lost in art making with no pressure. Just doodling. Like you've done when you were younger, or maybe during some meetings. You're also hopefully at the end of this activity, which I won't make you do much more, that maybe you've thought of your problem in a new way, in a different way. You could escape it for a minute. Turn those choices and decisions you have to make and transform them into something new. Now, if you look at the example on the board, you can see you can take this as far as you want. You can add pattern, you can add words. You could maybe even get out those crayons, maybe from your kids, and add some little color, whatever you want. And you're going to take this with you, and you may recycle it, or you may keep it. And every once in a while, you may look at it and say, you know what, I want to get lost in art making for a minute. And so I hope that you enjoyed that little activity. And to kind of finish up tonight, and again, I won't tell you to stop because it's hard to stop doodling, right? I think you've heard enough from me. And I wanted you to hear from your wonderful kids, your wonderful students, the people that we all serve and are here for, what they think about art. And a little peek in the art room here at Green Meadow.
I love art because I can be as creative as I can, and then I can really focus and make the creative stuff I really want to make.
Oh, another one. Don't forget your messy mess. Ooh, good question. Right? You really need to use those big, beautiful brain of yours, right? And problem solve. If it's not working, that's okay. Woo, Mackenzie, I love it. Oh, this whole table, hold yours up. That's gorgeous. Gorgeous. Let's shout out to Violet too. Yo, look at this. Love it.
What I like about art is at the art show, my art was put up at Columbia High School.
I like art because it lets me express my feelings in pictures instead of boring words.
I like art because there are no wrong answers, and I can express myself. I can also be creative with it.
I like art because you can express your feelings on a piece of paper, and you can really imagine anything on a piece of paper.
What I like about art is that no one is telling me what to do. You're the boss of yourself.
I like that art can be anything. It can be your clothing, a chair, so that's why I like art.
I like art because it's fun to paint and draw. You can draw whatever you want and see where your imagination takes you.
Charlotte, you should try this blue. It's so good. Look.
I think art is amazing, fun, and important. Art is great, the color, the value, and the texture. Art is fun and calming. Art is great to look at and can help people. So many different types of artists, and artists like me are fun and amazing.
beautiful. You fixed it. You're a fixer.
I like art because it calms me and I like to express myself. I also like art because I can be creative with what I draw. Art can be anything.
It's one of my favorite specials that we have here. I like that you can make whatever you want, do whatever you want, and be yourself.
You guys are awesome.
If there was no art, then what would we do?
Thank you.
Well, that was just absolutely wonderful, Carly. You hit it right out of the park. I am so incredibly proud of Mrs. Powers and her students, and I really appreciate her taking the time to let you just take a little bit of a glimpse into her art room. I would extend an invitation if any of you ever want to stop in, as long as you sign in at the office, you're welcome to come down and participate in Mrs. Powers' art class. And I have to tell you, she is truly this kind, this happy, this excited all the time. She never has a bad day. So thank you so much, Mrs. Powers. I appreciate it. Thank you all for your interest in our program and coming here tonight. So I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Temple. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll do the minutes first. Right?
Okay. All right. But before taking a break, we're gonna do the draft minutes and some comments by Mr. Simons. Looking at the draft minutes, is there a motion? Is there any questions or concern about the minutes? All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Mr. Mann wasn't in for this one. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Ms. Turner, is there a second? Mr. Buno, all in favor? All are in favor. Motion passes. And Mr. Simons.
Thank you, Mr. Temple. There have been a number of public speakers at the last two Public Board of Education meetings and a number of written correspondence sent to the district regarding determinations regarding the lacrosse coaches. I want to take a moment to make sure that the public is current in its understanding of where the district is at with its decision-making and its process. The district administration, including myself and the Board of Education, has completed a review of the issues involved in the lacrosse coaching decision. That review has included an internal review of our hiring procedures as well as our reference check procedures for all of our coaches, including issues that were inherent in the lacrosse appointments from last spring. The review also included a meeting that I held with Coach Sherwin and Coach Keller to review issues and expectations in terms of our coaching positions in the district and the operations of our athletic program. The board and I have agreed that we have satisfied the initial stages of the review, and therefore, with confidence, we are going to provide the effective coaches, both Coach Sherwin and Coach Keller, an opportunity to both reapply to the position and also be reappointed to the position. We anticipate that those spring coaching position appointments will occur in the second meeting of December. That is because we have not yet completed the process of application for the winter coaches and appointment of the winter coaches. We are also working to procure the services of an external consultant who will assist the district in conducting a review of our athletic hiring process for coaches, as well as our evaluation process, and make recommendations to the board later on this school year. Additionally, we are consulting internally and looking at the HR processes, but we're also seeking support from outside services to continue this review. So we appreciate that the public has come forward and given us information, questions, and concerns regarding this matter. We move forward with confidence in giving the coaches an opportunity to reapply. I left the meeting with the coaches confident that we agree on what the expectations are for our interscholastic athletic program, and I'm happy to be encouraging the board to support my recommendations to reappoint those coaches later on this year. And I appreciate everyone's involvement in the process. And I think the PTO from Green Meadow, unless the board has wants to do the board forum now, there are refreshments. Is that correct, Mr. Garib? So we usually take a pause, but I don't know if any other board members have any comments right now, or do we want to take a break?
All right, break it is.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Continuing the Board of Education meeting, I'm gonna start with the board forum. Am I right, Ms. Steinbeck? Anything?
Yeah, I just want to say that most of the board knows that this is our home school, I guess, the school that my family attends. And it was great to be here tonight and I got to see him in the art video. So that was really cool. But you know, he's in kindergarten here, and it's been a great experience so far. And I'm just really proud to be here today in this seat. Thank you.
Yeah, just a great presentation about the art program here. I really enjoyed it, and I'm happy to be here.
Ms. Turner?
Same, just enjoyed the presentation a lot.
Yes, it's the same thing. I totally enjoyed the presentation. I feel like I learned myself 100%. It was definitely a privilege. I definitely saw the cinematic prowess of Mr. Flowers as well. No, but it was a pleasure seeing the kids engaging, seeing everything in action. I also wanted to congratulate Molly Simmons, who was the News Channel 13 Athlete of the Week for soccer. 6 goals for the season so far. I also wanted to shout out the football team also, who's having a great year. We lost the last 2 games, but we're playing excellent, competing at a high level. And I also wanted to I did want to shout out the football team's running game too, by the way. I love the running game. And I also wanted to mention a recent passing of the East Greenbush community, John Sawchuk, who was a person, a husband, a father, a grandfather, and an educator. You know, he did 30 years as an educator, and he was recently a principal at Columbia High School. And I wanted to have a moment of silence for Mr. Sawchuk. All right, thank you. So with that, I'm gonna continue on. Okay.
I just want to say thank you, Mr. Simons, for the work you've done and working with the community. Surely the lacrosse issue that the board and the community has dealt with. I think moving forward, this is the path that we hope to gain success and see the program grow and continue into the future. So thank you for all parties involved with that and moving forward for the community. So thank you.
So similar to Emily, this is my home school as well. I think over the course of my 3 children, I was here about 14 years. So it really does feel like home. And I'm so proud to always come back and have them host. These meetings are actually most of our favorite meetings, where we're going traveling around and we get to see what the kids are doing in the district. It is kind of the one, and it re-baselines you of what we're doing and why we're doing it here. So I appreciate that. And just for an aside, I'll probably try this with some of my employees tomorrow and coworkers, because it did help me a little bit. Not long enough. I might need a doodle more, but I appreciate the tip.
I also want to say thank you to Green Meadow for hosting us. As this is not my home school, it's not a place I'm familiar with, but it's great to see what's going on in the schools besides the ones that we are in on a regular basis. And I also, where you had us talk about, have you ever heard someone say, I can't draw a stick figure? That I say that about myself all the time. So I really heard you there, and I'll be adding that yet at the end if I say it again.
Thank you, Ms. Van Orden. All right, moving on to the public forum. Is there, let me read our speech. Residents, students, employees, and business representatives of the East Greenbush Central School District may address the board on matters concerning programs and/or operations of the district, other than matters involving personnel. Members of the board do not directly respond to citizen concerns during the public forum. If a response is appropriate, either the president or the superintendent will contact the individual in the near future. Those persons wishing to address the board will be recognized by the chair of the meeting and which should state for the record their name and address or affiliation with the district or business. While the board does not wish to infringe upon free speech protections, it must be stressed that the visitors forum is not deemed to be an open forum. The board president will conduct the forum for the orderly and efficient operation of board business. In addition, any remarks which may be considered defamatory or stigmatizing are prohibited and will be declared out of order. All comments shall be limited to 5 minutes.
I just want to say thank you for you guys listening to us and hearing what we had to say about our coaches, and we're looking forward to having a good lacrosse season under them. And thank you.
Hi, I'm Katie Sherwin. I'm Greg Sherwin's wife, and I have 2 daughters in the district. I also just wanted to stand up and express my thanks to all of you for listening to the players, the parents, the community. I was very direct and very vocal about what I perceive to be faults and injustices here, and I tried to be just as direct with my praise and appreciation. And so I just wanted to say thank you. I received an outpouring from the community, from parents, from players, and they all feel the same. So there is a huge amount of relief, I think, in the lacrosse community, and we really appreciate it. We always do what we can to put the players and the kids first, and I feel like we all did that this time, and so I just wanted to say thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to reports and presentations. The independent audit report.
I'm going to turn this over to Jennifer Mulligan, our Director of Business and Finance, to introduce our auditor and give the annual report.
Great, thank you, Mr. Simons. I wanted to welcome Kylene Fisk. She is a principal with the Bonadio Group, which is our external auditors. We recently completed the fiscal year ending June 30, 2024 annual independent audit, and Kylene is here to report on the results of that audit. Thank you and welcome, Kylene.
Great, thank you everyone. Good evening. My name is Kylene Fitzsick, and I am a certified public accountant and certified fraud examiner with the Bonadio Group and the principal on your district's audit engagement. We've recently went over the audit reports in detail with your district's audit committee, and here tonight just to go over a very high-level summarized version of those audit results and answer any questions that any of you may have. First, I'd like to thank Jennifer and Mary in the business office for all of their hard work and efforts that they put in to the audit. An audit is very much a collaborative effort. It takes all parties involved and a lot of time and effort and energies to answer our many, many audit requests and get us all the documentation needed. So we appreciate all the time and the efforts put in to get us there. So there were 3 deliverables that we provided to you that you should have with you. And the first was your financial statements. The second is the district's extra classroom financial statements. And then the third is the required communications letter. First, starting with the school district's annual audit of the main financial statements. That includes the independent auditor's report. So within there is our audit opinion, and we issued an unmodified opinion on those financial statements. An unmodified opinion is the highest level of assurance that we as auditors can give you. The other report included in those financial statements is the government auditing standards report, and that report requires us to gain an understanding of the internal controls over the financial reporting. And we're pleased to say that we noted no material weaknesses and no significant deficiencies over those internal controls. The second part of that report that you'll see is the report on the compliance with the laws, regulations, grants, and contracts, and that the non-compliance could lead to a material financial statement impact. And you'll see there that again, that we noted no non-compliance. The school district is limited to retaining 4% of the school budget in the unreserved unappropriated fund balance, and the school district came in at about 3.996%. Then there is the independent auditor's report on the compliance with requirements to each major federal program and on the internal controls over the uniform guidance. So the uniform guidance is the required single audit, that if you expend over the thresholds, that there's that additional audit that's required to be had on your federal awards. We issued an unmodified opinion on the federal awards audit. And again, that's the highest level of assurance that we as auditors can give. You'll also see within there that we identified no material weaknesses and no significant deficiencies on those internal controls over the federal programs. The major federal program that we tested for fiscal year 2024 was child nutrition. The next report is the school district's annual audit on the extra classroom financial statements. And again, we issued an unmodified opinion on that report. So that's a very high level review of the audit results. Again, thank you very much to the district's business office. It was very seamless, very smooth, and it was great to get to that finish line and get those great audit results. So I'm open to any questions that any of you may have.
So I don't have a question, just more of a comment and a thanks to Jennifer and her team. I mean, this is a huge accomplishment to have every year. It's not a small task, and it really shows the professionalism and the accuracy that is in our district. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
One of the areas that you noted, with our teachers union representatives here, I just want to point this out. We took a number of steps several years ago to address our extra classroom club accounts, and to have an unmodified opinion in that area is quite an accomplishment. So in addition to the finance office and the extra classroom treasurer that works on that, our teacher club advisors are doing a terrific job, and we all were working together. And it's not uncommon in the district to have few issues in those areas because of the volume of different types of cash exchanges, fundraisers, etc. But to have this kind of an opinion in the extra classroom clubs is a great reflection of the way that our club advisors, which the board is appointing this evening, are managing those fundraising accounts. So I want to just kind of credit the teachers who are in those club advisor roles for the good job they're doing as well.
And just one thing I wanted to add, I just wanted to recognize and thank Mary Ritzy, our district treasurer. She's instrumental in pulling the audit results together, and also the rest of the business office team. So it's definitely a collaborative effort.
Thank you. Alrighty, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the teacher mentor program overview with Mr. Stiles.
Nope. That's all you.
Yes, thank you very much. So we do have our mentor coordinator, Melissa Gilligan, is here this evening. She's just going to give a brief overview and some highlights of our teacher mentor program. The teacher mentor program does fulfill the New York State teacher requirement that all initial certified teachers have to have 1 year of mentoring for their certification. Also, in addition to that, there are some times where we have some new staff to East Greenbush that don't need the official mentor for their certification, but we do think it's beneficial for them, and we have them as part of the program as well. So I'm going to turn over to Ms. Gilligan.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Stiles and Mr. Simons, for inviting me here tonight to share our mentoring program. First of all, for those of you who don't know me, which I think most of you don't, I'm Melissa Gilligan. I am the mentor facilitator, and I was offered this position, I think, 6 years ago. And that was after I had retired from Belltop. I taught at Belltop for 30 years. And when I was offered this position as the mentor coordinator, I was really excited about it because it was something that was very near and dear to my heart. Having been a mentor in the past, served on the mentor steering committee, and taught some adult mentoring courses, I felt this would be perfect fit for retirement. So I'm very fortunate to have had this opportunity, to have the opportunity. I just want to share with you a little bit about the program. There's many components, as Mr. Stiles said, to the program. First of all, the mentor, well, I'll back up a moment. We have a selection process in August where the steering committee meets and matches our list from our list of qualified mentors. They match with the mentees, the new hires that are coming into the district. And once the matches are made by the steering committee, then I meet with the mentors and mentees and go over the requirements of the program. The requirements of the programs are they mentor and mentee must meet for a total of 50 hours throughout the school year. And since we're in school for 40 weeks, it's a little bit more than an hour a week that they have to meet together. And this has to all be documented in a timesheet filled out monthly. They also have to shadow each other, where the mentor goes into the mentee's classroom for a day and watches her teach and provides feedback and on reflections on what she saw. And then the mentee also goes into the mentor's classroom on a different day and observes her teaching, and then there's a conversation about that, what was going on in the classrooms. There are 4 or 5 seminars that the mentees and mentors must attend throughout the year. I set these up with NICET, and we collaborate with actually Averill Park and share the expense of these seminars. So we've already had our first one this year, and they will go through March of 2025. The mentees, first-year teachers, have to go to every seminar, and the mentors go to 2 or 3, whatever we find is most appropriate and valuable to both of them together. There's a mid-year and a final year evaluation, and then there's another release day that the mentor and mentee can take together, which would be for a school visitation or a workshop or conference that they might attend together, or curriculum writing. In September of 2023, so last year, and we're starting this year pretty much the same, we had 12 pairs of mentors and mentees initially to begin the program. In January of 2024, we had the district hired 2 new teachers that required mentoring. So we had a total of 14 pairs in the program last year. The 12 that began in September all successfully completed the program in May of the year by completing all the components of the program. The other 2 that began in January, one is finishing up her mentoring right now, and it was done that way so she would have the benefit of a full year of mentoring. And the second person that began in January was hired as a part-time temporary position, but we mentored her for the time that she was in the district. It's the I just wanted to share a few things that I have read recently I went back and read the final evaluations, and I just wanted to share with you what benefits the mentees felt they got out of it. A common theme that seems to run through many of the mentees' final evaluation is they appreciate the fact that this relationship is non-judgmental, and they're given individual attention, and unwavering support is how many have put it. They felt a real openness with their mentor, a place that they could go to and talk and learn from a colleague who's in a job, who's doing it because they want to do it. They feel very valued and respected as a coworker. The mentees also commented on the fact that they, are given the opportunity to see an effective teaching practices and strategies when they go into their mentor's classroom. And mentees have also commented about how they're given valuable and constructive feedback, again, in a very confidential, trustworthy situation where it's not at an observation, where they know, it's going to go into their permanent record. Mentors have shared with me how they've benefited from the program. Many mentors wrote how it has rejuvenated their career, and it's given them opportunities themselves to try new things or go back to things that they used to use, giving them the ability to reflect on their teaching practices and now say, nice to be able to do this again. A reoccurring theme with the mentors was how rewarding and fulfilling it was to share their knowledge and expertise and experiences with their mentee. It developed their leadership skills. And the comment I hear most often from mentors is that they see, what I see most frequently is mentees are usually pretty recent college graduates and come with a lot of technology skills, and they are able to share these skills with their mentors that are very appreciative of that. So, and if you'll indulge me for a moment, I just really wanted to read one of the comments from last year. One of our mentors said, I can genuinely attest that participating in this program, from the intensive training during the summer to the concluding days of mentoring, my mentee has significantly enhanced my skills as a teacher. Additionally, it has strengthened my ties with my colleagues, and it's a privilege to have been selected for this opportunity. So I hear these kinds of things all the time. That last week I got together just with the mentees, and it's a very rewarding experience for myself, for the mentors, and I believe the mentees. So I just want to thank East Greenbush for giving me the opportunity to continuing to be part of the East Greenbush community. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now, or I have an East Greenbush email address. Oh, one other thing. I know there's principals here or were. We can always looking for new mentors. So I know a lot of staff out there just needs a little nudge, so we'd appreciate that. But anyways, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk tonight. Any questions?
No questions, just a comment. Melissa, thank you so much for
Thank
all
you.
your years of service and coming back and being that leader for the mentor program. I think that mentorship, both parties, my experience at my organization is the same. The mentors find the value of being a mentor to a new teacher or even a seasoned teacher sometimes, to learn from each other and then build strong bonds that lead them into the future. And hopefully that just enhances all the practices and benefits our kids ultimately for their education. So thank you for that and being part of that. And just if you know of anyone who wants to be a mentor, keep pushing that. I think that's just once you get over that hump of training and application, it can be so rewarding, even though there is a lot of work involved. So thanks for your
Thank
efforts.
you.
I just wanted to add, I liked how you highlighted the benefits for the mentor as well. People often think that it's just the mentee that's absorbing everything and learning, but it is definitely a reciprocal relationship. And I know when I was new and still in the classroom, it made a huge difference for me to have experienced teachers, help out.
Yeah, and treat you like a colleague and
Yes, exactly.
a coworker, not a.
Yes.
So last year we had 14 pairs. How many pairs this year?
Right now we have 12 pairs.
12 pairs. Good.
And it usually is around
About
that.
that.
I think we've been as high as 18 pairs, but it's usually between 12 and 14.
Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. And, I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have mentors along the way to help me, both formal and informal. So definitely understand the importance of a program. And then right when you get to a certain point, how do you give back? Becoming a mentor yourself to the next generation, I think is, especially women leaders, is one of the, best things that we could do. I have a question regarding future program recommendations. I saw in the information that there was a couple listed, and I don't know, Roy, if that came out of the steering committee meeting but I guess there's an idea to extend the program past a year to the probationary period or can you talk about some of the changes you're looking to make and how the board can support you in that?
Yeah, so every year, I'll take a look at our mentor program. Since I've been here, we haven't made any real wholesale changes to the program. Getting the feedback from Ms. Gilligan, we feel like we're doing a really solid job. So for example, one minor change that we're looking to make for this upcoming year, based on some feedback from the evaluations, was our mentor steering committee traditionally meets on opening day of our first superintendent's day. We make the pairings then, and then, it takes a day or two for the mentors to officially accept and that information to get to Melissa. So some of the feedback has been, it would be really nice for the mentors and mentees to know that relationship prior to that first day, so that when they come, there's a familiar face. They may have some time to do some work within their building. So a minor change we're looking to make for next year is to have that mentor steering committee meeting in August as opposed to September. But again, this upcoming year, we'll kind of take a look at the evaluations that are done by the mentors and mentees. And then, I'll kind of talk to Melissa to see if there's any adjustments that we're looking to make. But we haven't really looked to extend it to more than 1 year. At this point, it is something that we discuss a little bit, but we haven't really felt the great need to extend it to 2 years at this time.
Also, just a comment here. Our program is pretty extensive and time intensive. I was fortunate enough to go to some mentor coordinated training last year with other districts in the capital region, and every program looks different. And I found the ones that had like 2 or 3 year mentoring, they didn't provide as much each year as I feel we're able to provide with the 50 hours, with the seminars, the shadowing. I mean, there's so many good pieces. I think that extending it, unless it was a case-by-case situation, I would say.
So these recommendations aren't necessarily things that you're considering. It's just ones that were brought forward by the steering committee. Just trying to understand.
Yes, so these recommendations were not new for this year. They were originally in there for the last few years, and they're ones that we continue to evaluate every year to see if that's a route that we want to go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa. Thanks, Melissa.
Moving on to the capital project planning, Mr. Simons.
Yes, I provided the board in the update some minutes from a number of capital project planning meetings that we've been having internally within the district. We've been meeting with library media specialists to engage them with our architects on some of the schematic designs of the library media centers. We've also been meeting with the athletic director and our physical education teachers and some of the golf staff regarding the renovations at golf. Jennifer Mulligan has been engaging with the architects and the construction managers and Paul Bickle to get everything in place in terms of the phasing of the project, including aid factors. I think Jennifer probably has more details that she can add than I can right now, but there are a lot of internal meetings happening right now. We hope to present some of the work that's occurring at a future board meeting and at the BRAC meeting.
Just a couple other updates, Mr. Simons. Last week, Turner did present the logistics plan to our internal team on phase 1A, which was really great. Ms. Farnan, our assistant principal at Columbia High School, attended. Mr. Jones, our athletic director, attended just to understand what kind of impacts are occurring at those buildings with the construction schedule. So that meeting was very productive. And as Mr. Simons talked about, the library schematic designs have been presented. So we'll be also having some updates at our long range planning committee that's scheduled for facilities planning committee scheduled for November 4th. So.
And I think everything is proceeding really as planned and in some ways exceeding expectations. We're still waiting from the state education department for the approval of the phase 1A.
Very good.
Jeff, how are we managing with all the other demands on the staff time with this is a massive capital project? How are we managing everyone's time? How are things going? Are you able to handle this? Is there support that we should be able to provide, at least talk about?
I think we're doing fine.
We're doing fine?
We have
good.
weekly meetings with our architects and construction managers, Paul Bickle.
good.
Jen is there, Paul Bickle's there, I'm there.
Yeah, there's
I think
been.
I think we're doing well. Pulling the staff together to give us feedback has been occurring smoothly. And I think we're okay for right now.
Yes, yeah, there's been a lot of meetings that started in October. Really, the architect is going through the schematic design phase, and that's actually impacted administrators and staff in all of our buildings. And Jeannie Pangberg has been very helpful in helping coordinate some of those meetings. So I appreciate everybody's input because those user group meetings are critical to understand basically shaping that first design, which will allow us to, for Turner to go in and do another estimate, which we're expecting in the first quarter of 2025. To be able to evaluate that we're able to continue to meet all the priorities or if we need to make some adjustments. So that's been very productive. You know, we're looking and we're leveraging our resources with our fiscal advisor and doing some other things there. So we're still evaluating. We're still early, but things are going well so far.
We did follow up on the question, Emily, from a previous board meeting regarding traffic study. Labella has resources to, and they've given us a proposal that we reviewed today to do a traffic study of the additional roads that we're putting in to get access to the athletic fields. That preliminary work will be done by Labella, and then we will meet with the town and share our analysis. But Labella has experts that can conduct that study, and we've reviewed the proposal, and they're going to do the analysis, and then we'll meet with the town and engage with the town.
Thank you so much. I appreciate following up on that. And I think that field and, having that use of golf, we'll probably see more student foot traffic, and just appreciate the mindfulness to the safety of the students.
There is some consideration, and we haven't made any decisions yet regarding whether or not the additional access road would provide some alternatives for busing to come into the campus, and that will be part of the study.
Yeah.
So we haven't made that decision yet. I don't want anybody to think that that's happening. That's something that has been discussed for potential evaluation, and we're evaluating it.
It's great.
Well, I'm looking forward to the next steering committee meeting.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the Howard L. Goff Middle School, Washington, D.C. field trip. Mr. Simons.
Okay, we have to approve 10A, which is the
Yes.
CSE
Yes.
minutes for the students with disabilities
Thank you.
agenda. Yeah.
All right. Is there any questions or comments on the approval of programs for resident children and disabilities as presented? All right. Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Mann, is there a second? Ms. Komersky, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes.
So the administration at Goff Middle School has been preparing to make arrangements with Yankee Trails, as well as engage the students and the families in the planning that is necessary for the annual 8th grade Washington, D.C. trip. Nicole Mahoney, our new assistant principal at Goff, is running point on this project. She's sitting right next to Mr. Newman, who knows a lot about this particular field trip. And I'm sure she's tapping into his experience regarding all of the logistics that are involved. This has been an annual trip that has been discussed publicly before by the board. As historically, it has provided a very beneficial learning experience and memorable experience for our students and our alumni. However, issues with inflationary costs and have caused the price of the trip per student to be pretty significant. That issue has been discussed in the past as well. There was a commitment on the part of the board and the district to maintain the trip and make every effort possible to provide fundraising activities and financial assistance in accordance with the board's policy. The board has a policy that no student should be denied an opportunity for a field trip due to financial means. So asking the board to approve this evening gives the administration of the school the go-ahead to start communicating to determine what students may want to go on the trip, engage with families who may need assistance, and to start scheduling the fundraisers to offset the cost, which I believe right now is $525 per student. So Nicole is here to answer any questions. I know that there are concerns within the board, and I share some of those concerns about making this trip as affordable and as accessible for families. And I know that that is a larger discussion that the board is interested in having as we go forward on these types of activities that are traditional activities we offer our students, and bringing a mindset to it and some resources to it in a way that we can make it equitable. Again, just for the public's sake, we want no student to feel that they can't go on this trip, or any family to feel that their child cannot go on this trip and that it's not accessible. It's supposed to be an experience for all of our 8th graders, and we'll work hard to make sure that that happens. I know the board members may have some discussions they want to have regarding this either tonight or in the future.
You know my feeling. It's been my feeling for a while when we tried to eliminate it right after COVID. This is the most bonded event I think our kids have. And it's a life changer for them in terms of becoming friends and you know, peers with others that they will have bonds with forever. So I hope we can figure out a way to make sure that everybody is able to go. And I fully, you know, commit to trying to do whatever I can do to do that, even volunteer if anybody needs it. So.
Thank you.
I have concerns about the cost of the trip. I think the trip is unbelievably valuable. My older son went last year and he had a fabulous time. But every year the cost is going up, and every year the need is going up. And so I just think, not in terms of, I love the idea of the trip, but I think long term we need to look at how can we maintain 100% financial need as the cost increases and the need increases at the same time. So I think as a larger conversation, it would be important to just look at different opportunities. Mr. McHugh has done a fantastic job in terms of fundraising, but unfortunately his title is interim principal. So I also want to be sure that we preserve some of his fundraising techniques and everything when he is no longer working with the district and find ways to continue and grow that.
Thank you, Catherine. Nicole, did I cover everything or is there anything that you, all right, very good. Thank you. Thanks for being here. So we need an approval of the trip, and the approval is to go forward with the planning, and then we'll bring back more information to the board regarding how the fundraising is proceeding and how the student participation and the family engagement piece is happening.
Okay. Is there a motion?
If we can just report back at some point how much money it may be for the school district, that will help inform us. But
Very good.
thank you.
Is there a motion to approve this trip to go forward? Ms. Komersky, is there a second? Ms. Van Orton, and all in favor? All are in favor. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to proposed change in policy, a second reading of the policy number 115 on student harassment and bullying prevention and intervention.
This is a second reading of a policy that the board has already reviewed. It was reviewed by the policy committee prior to bringing it to the board for a first reading. The modifications include eliminating classifications of behaviors that are already included within our code of conduct that fall within the category of discrimination, harassment, and bullying. It makes it more efficient as we move forward. If we have to make changes to the code of conduct, we don't have to go back and change this policy. And these are recommendations that were made by the board's attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Simons. Is there any questions or comments on second reading? That's just information purposes.
So actually, that needs to be approved.
Needs to be approved.
And
All
then
right.
the policy will be sent out to everybody.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to approve this policy? Mr. Mann, a second. Ms. Steinbeck, all in favor? Everyone's in favor? All right. And moving on to the snow removal bid for 2024, 2025. Are there any questions or comments on
So is this the same vendor that we had last year?
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
And we had no concerns with the work or anything?
No.
Okay.
Several.
Okay.
Several. Forever, very as long as I can remember, it's been him. These services are generally used at the transportation center in Donald P. Sutherland. And our own groundsmen do the plowing for the rest of the buildings.
Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Buno, is there a second? Ms. Turner, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes. And next up is a motion, resolution to approve the independent audit presentation. Is there any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve? Ms. Komersky, is there a second? Ms. O'Brien, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes. And moving on to a resolution to approve the 2023-2024 risk assessment report. Any questions or comments? A motion to approve. Ms. Komersky, a second. Ms. Turner, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes. And moving on to committee reports. Ms. Mulligan.
Thank you, Mr. Temple. We had our Finance and Audit Committee meeting on October 1st, and the results of the audit were presented. Also, our internal auditor, Mr. Wolf, was there to go over the risk assessment. We also had an update regarding just the status of investments and that we've engaged with 3+1. We continue to invest in treasury bills. So it was a productive meeting, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Mulligan. Moving on to our Global Education Committee meeting. Mr. Simons.
Yes, we had our first meeting of the Global Education Committee on October 8th. We had that meeting via Google Meet. Representing the board was Catherine Van Orten. We discussed various topics related to the scope of the committee, including some goals. One of the areas that we talked about was economic diversity, and to validate that in some cases the community demographics have changed over the years. We are certainly not a high poverty district, but at the same time, there's information that we can learn from high poverty districts to try to support students and family success. I shared an article from the AASA regarding high needs districts and engaging students and families. Statistically, since 2007, when the education funding foundation aid formula was established, the number of students that would qualify for free and reduced lunch under the normal formula has doubled from 11% to 22% in the district. So there is a trend that we may have more students with and families with needs. We also talked about the increase in the number of students that require English as a new language services. We have added several TESOL teachers over the course of the last few years. I think when I came to the district in 2016, we had 2 or 3. We now have 8 because there are mandated services that we provide those students. Those students do very well academically with the support of our ESOL and regular teachers, as well as the families. We also talked about the need to make sure that our families who are new to the district or new to our country understand how to navigate the district and some of the expectations around activities and how can we help them communicate with them better. And we also asked the committee to take a look at thinking about a process that we could add to our curriculum and professional development to make sure that as we are proposing new curriculum, adopting new textbooks, instructional resources, that we are looking for ways to ensure that those materials provide cultural diversity and avoid cultural or implicit bias. And Mr. Stiles is thinking through with us and with some of the committees how we'll go about doing that. So as an introductory meeting, we asked the committee to give us some thoughts to those issues and to give us some feedback on some things that we could work on specifically in terms of objectives for this year. You have anything to add, Catherine?
No, that summed it up really nicely. And it was really nice to hear some of the things that the teachers are doing in the schools to support our students and family that we don't always see. That's not really part technically of their job description, but it is being done. So that was great to hear that a lot of issues we discussed, we found out were already being addressed informally.
Thank you.
Did you talk about the school climate survey and that link there? Can you?
Yes, we did. We talked about it from 2 different standpoints. The students through the Questar 3 program had done their own survey last year. We're starting that program up again with a new cohort of students. And I believe last week was the training for the student facilitators. So we're participating in that and more districts are participating in that. And we will be having some follow-up actions to work with the students to engage the students more at the high school in looking at those survey results. Secondly, I did share a link to the U.S. Department of Education climate survey. Prior to the pandemic, we did one of those U.S. Department of Education surveys. I looked at it. There are some questions on that survey that I felt were old from 2017 and may not reflect some of the work that we want to do regarding inclusiveness. So I'm having some conversations with some outside resources about, how we can maybe update that survey. But I would like to, and the board has discussed this as a goal, recommend this year that we do a survey of the school climate. But I want that survey to get at the heart of the issues that the board feels are priorities. And I don't think in some cases those questions may be outdated.
Yeah.
And I looked at them.
I really appreciate that and love that this was on the agenda and that folks are thinking about it. I remember the Questar presentation and the peer-led groups. And I thought that the impact was, you could see it and you could feel it in the room. And so I would love to be able to know. Also, their survey results were a little frightening, I'll say, on bullying and you know, feelings around you know, comments on certain, you know, ways folks identify. And so I think a climate survey would be a great next step into seeing the larger reach on where we are as a district.
We also, related to climate issues, we also are engaging an outside consultant at Goff Middle School and at Columbia High School. Goff Middle School has been engaged last year with mediation matters to work with students and faculty and staff on ways to respond to and prevent and solve issues around student-to-student inappropriate language related to race, related to disparaging remarks that in a lot of cases come through the cell phone, but also are brought into the school and on the bus. So the high school is experiencing similar issues. The middle school is, and we're going to work together on a kind of a unified plan between the middle school and the high school with Mediation Matters to take steps to effectively prevent and intervene in these situations. And I think those issues all affect the climate, and the board has had that discussion in the past. So you will see a plan done in collaboration with Mediation Matters at a future meeting. But this is an issue that unfortunately it's a small percentage of students, but it can have, as has been discussed at the meeting when we talked about the data report, it can have a ripple effect on the climate of the school. And I think we're looking towards a more restorative environment where kids can reflect, think about their actions, and take responsibility for those things that they're saying that are inappropriate, own up to it, and perhaps facilitate that through some restorative processes to heal in those situations and intervene and prevent it from happening anymore. But there is a trend outside of school to engage in these very inappropriate, offensive ways. And I think, unfortunately, it's spilling onto our kids. Not all of them, but some of them.
Is the Mediation Matters, is that through Questar? I know we had a group of like high schoolers that did some, I'm losing the word, I don't know, it was like peer leadership, but they did something through Questar last spring that they really liked.
That's separate. That's the youth. That's the one I was referring to. That's the youth youth empowerment through student voice, increasing student. Mediation Matters is a not-for-profit, I believe, organization that provides all different types of services related to mediation. It could be mediation between adults. It can be, ways to mediate certain specific situations in the special education arena, and it can also be mediation in terms of helping kids have more appropriate ways of solving problems and resolving differences.
Yeah, exactly. And so the middle school did a little bit of work with them last year, looking to expand that this year for the middle school, and then also the high school. The plans won't necessarily be the same. It's really going to be what are their needs.
Sure.
But we are definitely committed to working with them this year, and then hopefully continuing the partnership as well.
Yeah, I love the idea of kind of bridging what they've done in the middle school and having some follow through when they get to the high school, and or some practices in place.
So more to come on that.
Great.
Those are the issues that we discussed today.
All right, thank you, Mr. Simon. All right, do we have any tabled motions? Nothing. Old business? Nothing. All right, so moving on to the consent agenda. Did anyone have any questions or comments on the consent agenda? All right, is there a motion?
Sorry, I was just going to mention there are a few teachers and assistants receiving tenure, so congratulations to them.
Absolutely. All All right. Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Mann, is there a second? Ms. O'Brien, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes. And there is an addendum with a non-instructional support personnel memo. Ms. Koenig?
Thank you, Mr. Semple. This individual, Mr. Cobb, has gone through our driver training candidate program and they've successfully met all the requirements and were issued their CDL license. And so this gentleman is very excited to start tomorrow. So I appreciate the addendum.
Awesome. Congratulations to Mr. Cobb. And motion to approve, Mr. Buno, a second. Ms. Turner, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes. Is there any new board business? No new board business. And moving on to our last public forum. And board forum, I'll start on my left, Ms. Van Orton. All set.
Yeah, I just want to say the communications, I think we added some extra support. It seems to be going well. The last podcast did highlight some CT folks. The program's at Quester, interviewed the principal, Anthony Fazio from Gibson Tech. And I know that the welding program and the electrical program are going to gangbusters. And I know we have some students in there from the district as well. So kudos to the ongoing communications and recognition for all the different people, the kids, and really enjoy listening to those podcasts and share them around. So that's it.
Mr. Matt. Ms. Turner.
I forgot to recognize earlier, the boys varsity soccer team is undefeated right now as well. They're doing really well. So congratulations to all our boys soccer players and their families.
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien. Ms. Steinbeck.
All set. Thank you.
All right. And moving on to executive session.
Yes, the purpose of the executive session is to review the employment history of particular individuals and to review advice from legal counsel.
Okay. And there's a motion to go into executive session. Mr. Mersky, a second. Mr. Mann, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes. Have a good night, everyone.